Hey everybody, that's what's come out and what's going into the V6. The V6 wheel bearing change, suspension upgrade, and of course, brake replacement. Here's some more information for you. So the front strut assembly, the one at the bottom here, that's what came out, 16 years old. Pretty good really. I mean, you know, see that, look at the bush, it's had the weight on it all its life. Look how good it still looks. That's pretty bloody good. And that's why I'm gonna make use, because this isn't an off-roader, this one. Not at this stage anyway. Therefore, I'm happy with the stock stuff and I've got it. This is a front one that came out of our 2022 GX, the 1GD. So what's the difference going to be? Okay. So it's only done, it's as good as new. It's only done bugger all. So it's like putting new suspension in. What's the difference? Well, the first difference where you're going to have problems if you think you're going to copy me. This is a 120, this is a 150. The biggest difference you're going to have problems with, the bush at the bottom from memory, 39 millimeters here on the 120, 41 millimeters here on the 150. So two things you can do: press out the bushes and you know, get another, you don't want to put this old one in, then get another new 121, put it in there, whatever brand you like. I'd recommend probably Genuine or Dobinson's. Nothing else I've seen last as well as they do. Another reason why I like the Dobinson's, but nothing wrong with this brand new one here. Or you can get a grinder or a file, whatever, and take about 1 millimeter off each side. I'm going to do something along those lines. I think we're going to call it linishing the bushes, okay? Been done before, and it can happen again. The other major difference, I always believed the full extension, the open length, is 10 millimeters longer. So I thought, for whatever reason, why have I got these numbers 540 and 550 in my head? So it depends where you take the measurement from. The center of the eye to full extension, where was I measuring it to? Anyway, I've forgotten all that because this is all old school to me and I don't do it anymore. That's what I did then. This is what I'm doing now. I remember 540, I remember the 150s being 550. So 10 millimeters more full extension. So the wheel will come down about 20 millimeters more. So it gives it a tiny bit more travel, but nothing that's gonna cause any issues, which is kind of good. But looking at these, they're just about lined up, and so's the top hat. So I'm kind of going, there's no difference in the length of these, which I don't care about either. Like I said, it's not an off-roader. I'm setting it up for towing, which I want it as low as possible, not lower than low. Standard height or a little bit higher is fine, and that's why I've selected this one. Why? Well, you can see a couple of things. The spring, it's a little bit thicker, can you see that? And also the way it's wound is different. So without going into the detail too much, let's just say it would be obvious that a lighter 120 with a lighter V6 engine would have these springs, and to get the same height out of a 150, which is a bit heavier with a heavier diesel engine and a DPF and all that, these springs are going to be a bit heavier. So I haven't done this before exactly like this. So I wouldn't have a clue, well I do have a clue, I'll give you a clue, how high we're going to get. But what I would imagine, the different spring rate, we're going to get a little bit firmer ride, but shouldn't be too bad. And I reckon we're probably going to get 20 to 30 mil lift at the front using this setup. So it's a free lift, it's brand new suspension for free, happy days, that's what's going in. So I've got to linish these off, put it in. I've got to remember to give you a measurement afterwards, because in the previous videos before this series on the V6, there's a playlist there, our V6. Hopefully I add them in there in the right order, so if you watch the playlist, you'll be able to see everything unfold in the correct order. But we'll get those in. Just working out what order of business. I'm not going to put it in at the moment, because at the moment there's a drive shaft sort of laying in the way. I've removed the seal from the back of the wheel bearing, so I think what I was meant to be doing was cleaning up, so that's what I'm going to do now. I think I cleaned up the floor a bit. Look at that, beautiful. Because it was getting messy. I don't like walking around in mess and walking around. So yep, that's what I'm like. That's how I roll. It is the Pt.2 hospital. That's how the whole name came up. There was a client here and he said, mate, it's like a hospital. And I looked at him and we looked at each other and I said, the Pt.2 hospital. And I said, hang on a minute. I just got to start this Facebook page. And that's how it all started, the Pt.2 hospital. But anyway, I'm going to clean all this up, put the grease on there, watch all the videos so I don't repeat myself too much. Once I've done that, I'm thinking about actually putting the bearing in while it's around there and then lifting this whole thing around and slotting it onto the drive shaft. So that's a different way to what I normally do things. Let's see how it goes. So what you've missed so far, just wet and dry, spraying WD-40 because that's the cheapest spray. Bit of cleaning, bit of WD-40, bit of brake cleaner, bit of WD-40, bit of wet and dry, new bit of wet and dry, cleaning that back flat surface, the inside, which didn't take much because, like I said, it's not an off-roader, it was all clean. It's amazing how good condition it is when you get a vehicle that's not an off-roader, which is, we don't see them that much, I guess, because they don't go off-road, they don't wear out. Also clean the front face, and I like to get, like I said, the copperies. It's like a light coat of paint, particularly at the top, to help stop moisture coming through. It's just going to build up a barrier a little bit tighter between the O-ring and the sealing surfaces to help keep the moisture out. And it also helps stop rust, because rust will make it all go lumpy, crusty, like what was happening on that edge there that I cleaned it all up with wet and dry. But because there's grease there, the moisture can't get to it, so the rust won't build and continue, if you know what I mean. So that's how I recommend to do it. Just get the camera in the tripod and we'll see if we can get this seal back in the dodgy way. Right. I've got new seals, new bearing assemblies here, of course, because we supply them. Already assembled, ready to go, DIY style. Okay, where's my knife gone? Who's taken my knife? Hang on, nobody could have taken it because I'm the only one here. Somebody closed the knife and it doesn't open. That's handy. Come on, there it is. You see the knife open in the video? That's why I don't close it, because you close it and you don't get it back. I need that rubber mallet for this one. The $3 Craft Right rubber mallet that you can get from Bunnings while you get your wet and dry. You get a packet, Flexivit's in a cardboard box, you get a few sheets of each. $8, mate, not cheap. Genuine seal, nice and clean. The grease is on that side, so it doesn't need to be on this side. So basically all we're going to do is be a bit dodgy, brothers. Just throw that there for a minute. Let's see if we can even just, because they're a bit tight, but they're not too bad, right? Generally, they might even just almost push in, I'll tell you, right? But look, a gentle, let's see if this works out, right? You're not hitting it hard. It might just pop out as well, might not work out because it's a video, right? You don't have to hit these hard. Just keep going. I can't see what I'm doing, but work your way around and just go around like that. A bit hard at the top because you got that bracket in the way. It'll sound different once it's in. Hear that sound around this side? Right, or you can go and buy yourself a whole set of rings and that to put in there, and you can do it that way. But I would suggest, if this is all you're doing, it's going to get expensive, because that looks to me, does that look to you like it's in? It looks like it's in to me, but I just like to be sure, and I'm not hitting it hard, but I'm just going to. It's just a $3 rubber mallet. Comes in handy for lots of jobs. Mate, it looks as in as it's going to get. But you know, if there was 1 millimeter there spare, I want it in, I want it closed. I can't get a fingernail anywhere, even near the start. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do it a little bit more again anyway. Like I said, they're strong seals. Hit it with a hammer, you'll probably damage it. With this rubber mallet, nothing is going to happen. It is gold. Don't hit that clip there, or don't hit it hard at least. I'm knocking it with the edge of the hammer, no problem. So if you want, just unclip those and get them out of the way, because that would be smart. More stuff. How much stuff are you going to pull apart? It's got to end somewhere. For me, that's where it ended. That part's done. Now, what did I say I was going to do? To be different, throw the bearing in there. If I do that, that means I've got to hold the heat shield and the bearing and everything. And, you know, you can still, of course, get this around in position. But so there's pros and cons. So it makes it a little bit harder to get this in position, which I believe we still can get in position, you know, yeah. And then put those bottom bolts in underneath later. Watch the previous videos, what we took out. But what it does, if I put this back in position now, this shaft can bang around on this expensive seal. These genuine seals are expensive, and I don't want that. I want it in Mickey Mouse condition, how it is now, right? So, doing things differently. That's all pre-prepared, it's all clean. All I've done, I'll put a bit of the copperies on the O-ring on the back of the bearing as well. But I'm not smothering the back of the bearing or anything like that. with the cleaning, just to be clear, I put spray and clean through there, screwdriver in the hole. This one wasn't bad, but I need that hole clean, because if that metal surface isn't clean and clear, the O-ring on the end of this isn't gonna seal well either, and we want it to be sealed. We want the whole thing to be watertight, airtight, dust tight, everything tight as we can. So we will probably put on that O-ring a bit of moly coat, something different, just because, you know, it'll be handy and whatever, better for O-rings, I believe. But if I get this dust shield, which I haven't washed, I'm not worried about that. We're gonna see if this works out, right? This is different for me. I haven't done it this way before. So what we really wanna do is have this sitting somewhere. Got the bearing in one hand and the dust shield in the other. So here's the brand new bearing assembly as supplied by us. That's the hub, the bearing, the bolts, the O-ring, the little extra bit of work I do to make sure it's watertight. We send them anywhere in Australia, right? So this is going to be the bit that might be a little bit fiddly. We're about to find out. I don't know if the camera's even in the right spot now, but you know what? I'm doing this here. Yeah, it is proving to be a bit of a pain with that whole back part moving around. So I'm just going to throw it through the hole and actually see if I can get a bolt started, and then worry about locating that dust shield properly afterwards. Let's just see how it all goes, eh? Might be a bad idea. I don't know how much you can see or not, or what's going on. So I'll sort of jiggle that bearing around a bit. Trying to get that in the right spot maybe. I don't know if I'm even in front of the holes or not or what. But we do need to locate that dust shield eventually. Come on. What's going on there? So the bearing's kind of like a bit stuck in the hole a bit. The dust shield isn't. And the bearing's heavy, so I don't want to drop it. But it won't move at the moment. I kind of need that rubber mallet that isn't at my hand. So I'm going to let it go. I'm going to risk it for the biscuit. Risk it for the biscuit. Where's that rubber mallet? Where did I put it? Searching for the rubber mallet. Because it's sort of just, it's gone in at the bottom and it's not in at the top. So I just want to, I don't want to hit it in really. I want to hit it out again. Right, so this is a bit of a learning process. Go. That's what I wanted. Hand it down over there. Oh, or it fell, doesn't matter. Mate, I hope everyone's having a look at this guy, mate. Anyway, I might try it this way. Might work out better to just hold that. And then, yeah, it's just a bit tight, the bearing going in the back of the thing. And you can't control the situation because of the back, because the bolts aren't holding the bottom of it. Like I said, I'm trying something different here for once. Oh, and there goes the dust shield. So it's 100% proving to be a pain in the butt. Now, if I designed these things, I would have put one bolt to hold this in position so we didn't have to muck around. You get what I mean? I'm sure people get what I mean. Right, holding it all. Right. Grab that hammer just in case I need it, put it up on the side step. This is how things go, man, when you're doing videos and when you're doing things, trying to do something different. This is 100% how it goes. Now, when you put the camera away and just get the job done, right, it just happens. Now, ideally, it'd be good if that stayed somewhere there. Again, we don't want to damage that seal here. They're pretty robust, they're pretty tough. I want to try and get that to that. Nice and square though, so that it just sort of, I don't think it's going to happen. Wiggler, jiggler. It's like the new bearing's tighter than the old one. You know what? I think I'm going to give it up and just bolt the bloody thing up and do it the other way. So there you go. Tried and tested on the video and it didn't bloody work. You could probably do it, but I'm not really like the way everything's banging around. It's not how we normally do it. But I thought it could be good. Now, so we're going to continue on with the usual way, but I want to clean this up a bit first and put a bit of grease on it, so I'll go do that. All right, now we'll continue and see how it works out. Just put a bit of moly grease on that, just lightly. So I want to bring this around, the same configuration as what it was. I want to lift it up, whichever way you want, get that through the hole. We just don't want to be banging around on the seal too much, any more than we have to, right? It's a pain in the butt, right? That fell in that hole there. Then what we want to do is bring the upper control arm down. Hopefully that just sits there for a minute, because I haven't got that many hands, just like you haven't. All right, and we need to push that. Actually, this drive shaft comes out a little bit, which is good, and then we can get all these bolts to line up and get them started, because we want to get these bottom bolts in basically. So just keep it pulled out. So as long as that concentrating, can't do two things at once. As long as that doesn't, you know, sort of come out and bang around. I mean, look, it's not going to matter, you know. I mean, you know how other people do it, don't you? And it generally works out, right? But so I want to just keep it pulled out this way. I want to zip those up now, so I've got to grab a gun. Just lightly, we'll just go number one. Just going to keep this pulled out while I just, oh, wrong way, malaka. Yeah, that was a bit, that's a bit dodgy, right? Because that bolt, it did come out. So don't do that, because you'll cross thread it, right? Don't do what I did. That was a demonstration of what not to do. We'll get to tightening those up later. Now, this will be still all over the place because it hasn't got a strut in there. Strut's going to hold this still, so it could be a good idea to put the strut back in now, although this could still fall out. So I'm going to go for, I'm happy enough with this paint job still. It's not too bad. So it wants to fall out. What we're going to do at the backing plate, that mobile tool trolley would come in real handy about now. Put this the right way, which would be like that. Like I said, if they had a little 10 mil or some sort of bolt, you could just let that stay there. See, just you saw how gently I let it go. They don't stay there. So that's kind of, if you're doing your own wheel bearings, that could be the biggest pain of the whole job. It's not much of a pain, but it could be the biggest pain of the whole job. Right, let's have a go. We're getting a bit greasy here. So what we've got to do, we've got to try and hold that in place, and then we've got to try and get this on, and then we've got to try and hold this in, all with only two hands. So not ideal, but bang, sometimes you get lucky, right? Because we put a bit of grease on things. I did put a little bit of grease on the back of the bearing as well, just a thin layer coat of paint type thing, you know, is the situation I'm trying to get some bolts started here would be good. I think that one might be starting. Sometimes give it a bit of a wiggle, like we demonstrated before. It was hard to get it on square, I guess, while the whole thing was flopping around all over the joint, and I could just leave that section of the video out, but I prefer to show you what a doofus I am. I've got no issues trying things out and saying, you know, you can try that if you like, but it didn't work for me. You know, there's different ways to do things. I'll put this nut on now as well. That's the nut on the, yeah, you can see that in the picture, that's good. I put a little bit of grease in the thread as well. So it is a little bit tight, someone's given it a bit of a knock. So be careful of your threads at all times. You know what? I don't want to tighten it up yet because it will pull the bearing in, absolutely, but I want to get all these threads started first. I'd rather get everything started by hand. Remember, checking, thinking, looking back here and there. What's going on? I'm going to leave that flopping around. I was going to put that back in actually, but I'm not, because I've got to put the strut back in. So yeah, keep thinking, what's going on with this thing? So it'd be good if it was in there, then I could wiggle this around without that moving. So sometimes doing, oh yeah, we'll just do that together, it'll be easier. No, not always, right? It doesn't always work out that way. Because look, at the moment, what do we got? One bolt started. Have we even got one bolt started? I'm starting to think I haven't even got one started. So you can get a perspective on it. I've done a couple of these before. Not like I've done hundreds or thousands really, because ever since we started doing this wheel, couple of these and providing this kit about 10 years ago, a lot of people grab it and watch the videos and do it themselves like everything else, right? Like I said, putting myself out of business, putting myself into retirement. I really can't get these bolts started. You're watching it happen live. What is going on, you banana, right? Obviously they're not in the right spot to get in the hole, but why? Why not? Why? Ah, yep. That's, oh no, is it started? No, it's still not. It sounds like, oh no, I think that one is started, which means we might get lucky and some other ones will start as well, because that's usually what happens. Yep, that's number 2, I think, top left. This one down here. Should I keep using my lucky left? No, bottom right's getting started as well. Right, so that one's, they're all starting now. I'm just going to turn it a little bit to access the bolt. Same as demonstrated when we pulled it apart. By hand is your best option, right? This one here is giving me a bit of, needs a wiggle, giving me a bit of grief. I've actually got a couple of minor injuries on my wrists and a few things like that at the moment from doing not enough work. Christmas junk food injuries, you know, you eat rubbish and you just get all that inflammation and you just feel rubbish. Isn't it amazing what you eat, how it changes everything? It's not even amazing, really. Yeah, I'm waffling. What can I give you, though? What do you want? So you can see what I'm doing. I could time-lapse it. Look, I make a lot of quick videos. If you start looking at these videos and you think these are long, well, you're right. Make sure that's locked in. You see that? Don't forget this is the other thing. It's easy to put together and forget that. See how it goes like that? There's 2 little locating divots, if you like. Make sure they're locked in. I don't think I've forgotten anything else. That ABS sensor's still safe. I've taken those bolts in all the way. I did put a little bit of grease on the bolt. I like a bit of grease on everything, yeah? Make sure the back of the bearing is really clean. I did that. What I'm going to do for now is, this is not the final tighten. I just want to go like that. I don't even want it. Well, I'll tell you what I really want to do. What do you really want to do? Tell me, Anthony, what do you really want to do? What I really want to do is grab this baby and, oh, wrong way. And just zip it in for now, right? Again, we're not talking it. It's just a couple little duggers. It's way under specification and all that, right? So now we know our drive shaft can't go anywhere, and it's also pulled the bearing in hard and completely closed the bearing up. So then you'll be able to get the rest of these bolts in by hand easier than before, because it's all the way in ski. And then I'll grab that spanner. Where did I put that spanner? And look, I sort of feel like it's going to work better if we get the strut in there, which there's a bit of linishing work to do there, as discussed. This is the full discussion video where you sit back and relax and learn, and it might get boring, but you know, you'll still be learning something. Some people just love watching, and there you go. If you love watching it, then happy days, right? If you want to have a laugh because of my struggles, then you can have a laugh as well. I don't mind. Do me a favour and put in the comments as well, and put the minutes you're at and how many laughing faces it was. That'd be cool, right? Look, that's that part of it done. We've got to remember, everything's just loose now. Bottom bolts, it's just done up, right? So we're not going to finalise putting anything back together permanently until everything we want is back in place. And I think the next thing we want, and this is all grotty from my dirty gloves, and we'll give that a wipe up. Not that it matters, it's all grease that helps prevent rust and corrosion. It doesn't need to look good, it needs to be good. So what I think I'm going to do now is, this can just sit like this for a bit. I'm going to go away and get that strut and linish off those bottom, that bottom bush and mill off each side. Bring it from 41 down to 39. There it is anyway. It's all linished and painted up to stop the rust. Let's see if I can find a spot for the camera where I can stay out of the way of it and you can stay out of my way while we see if it fits, see if I did a good job or not, right? So procedure is, I'm going to turn that wheel a little bit back at the moment to give myself a bit of room. Lift the steering rack out of the way, use your right strong arm, hopefully it's strong enough, lift it up. First thing you really want to do, you can let that rack arm go, is put one of the nuts that you've got sitting on the side step on your top strut, top spot. I can relax, man. I'll let it go now. It's just sitting there on its own. I can have a rest. Because sometimes you need a rest. And we're going to need to push down on the bearing here to get the lower arm to go down. So we're going to slot this in. At this point, we're going to turn slightly forwards to get that CV boot away from what we're doing. And there it is, straight in. So, mate, old school skills, mate. Up we go. So that's where we normally stop, start, you know. Edit this and that, you know. But this time I decided full waffle. You want to complain about waffle? I know some people love it, and the people that love it and the long videos and wait till the end, I love you. But the people that complain, mate, you've got to change your attitude. You don't get anything for complaining. I'll do all the complaining, all right, about the way people work on cars. I've got something to complain about. That 14mm spanner, hopefully these ones are the same size. And might as well just give those a nip now, because that makes everything at the bottom easier. Because it's pulled up into position, so just nicely as tight as you can by hand on those, and they won't be going anywhere. Just for that 14mm spanner. That's done as far as I'm concerned. And we want to see about getting that bottom bolt in, right? Now it goes in from this side on the Prado, from the front on the Hiluxes. Yes, it is different. So, this is a little bit twisted out of position, so it depends who put these together. Oh, I said it was going to be easy, didn't I? That's where I made a mistake. So, it's slotted straight in, but it's on a slight angle, you know, exaggerated, like that, right? Because when you put the struts together, you got to be bang on, otherwise this is what happens. Now, rarely do you get someone to put it together perfectly. And this is where leaving those top ones a little bit loose would have been good. So you know what? Let me demonstrate, because at the moment, as you can see, look, it ain't moving anywhere. It's slotted straight in, but it's sort of jammed there. And this is a rare thing, but having these loose at the top might just allow for a little bit of movement. So I'm just going to make sure they're all a few turns loose, but not enough for the top to drop down, because that'll cause other problems, right? Now, no, didn't make much difference at the moment, so that could have been a waste of time. So you can do things like you can get your big flat blade underneath the bottom and give that a bit of a, like that. That helps it somewhat. And that's probably going to be the one for the win this time, because I reckon I can push that into alignment and put that bolt in. Now, where did I put the bolt this time? I put it down somewhere. Where is it? Over on the bench, probably. Where did I put the bottom bolt? It's not on the step where it should be. Here it is. On the bench, like I said. So just get that ready to pop in as soon as you reckon it. You look at the hole at this side and you try and line it up. Get the pressure and the wiggle on here. If you've got an extra person or whatever, there's other things you can do. I'm going to put the screwdriver down now, actually. That's moving around quite nicely. What you can often do is just actually, here's another good one. Get like a big Phillips head. Suspension information playlist if you want to see more of these different techniques and whatever. Put that in there. Oops, grab that back. Of course, it had to go right over this side. I'm telling you, as soon as the camera's rolling and a bloody tripod's in the way, it's a pain in the butt. Right? So, see the screwdriver goes through the hole, so it's not far off. So we just want to get in there enough to be able to lever the arm down and the shock absorber up. Enough to get in the hole. And then once it goes in a little bit, you just pull your screwdriver back a bit, do a little bit more wiggling like that. And see, it's most of the way in. Now that it's most of the way in, what we can do is pushing on there and bouncing on the bearing. In she goes. May as well get your nut and washer, which look like this in case you got your stuff mixed up. All right, boom, boom. Don't tighten that up till it's on the ground. Now, you can tighten it up to pull all the way through, but make sure you back it off again. And don't forget those top nuts, because remember, you did them up, so you think you did them up, but you might have forgot you loosened them again. Because I don't know, people forget things. So there's reasons why, you know, things go down. So you've always got to, when you finish the job, you've got to double check and go, yeah, I do that. That's the top one at the back. That's one front one. That's that front one. Yeah, just because I can, I would like to hit this bottom bolt with a gun just to show you. So that's pulled in all the squareness and, you know what I mean? So that you know you've got the bolt pulled through, the control arm is bent and squashed around the bush and everything like that. And now I've just done it finger tight as I can, ready to be tightened on the ground, where there'll be zero twist on the bush most of the time. Of course, as soon as you flex it up, that's when it twists, but in the neutral position, that's where we want it to be locked up, because if you don't understand, the inner part of the bush, that metal part we just lineage down, that's getting squashed between this control arm tight and it doesn't move. If that moves, you'll get knocking noises. So this bolt, it's probably, look, you can look it up, 100, 120 Newton meters or more. Rarely do we see those missing. If people leave them loose, they do go missing. But look, that's the suspension. And look, now you can put the bearing on and off without everything wobbling around. You can put this tie rod end. I'm just going to pop that back in. Well, I'm going to try to. It is a video, after all. Videos. The people that know me, there you go. Yeah, having a laugh. Yep, they know. People that have been here. Whenever it's a video, mate, right? So remember, nothing was tight on this job yet. It's just getting to the point where we've got to sort of move over to the other side, because we might as well do all the rotors together, work in pairs. Anyway, there that is. It's looking pretty good, right? Just show you top and bottom, top knots done up, top nuts. Brand new stuff out of the 2022 GX. It's just going to sit a little bit higher and a little bit firmer. So we'll get some firmer. We're going to get some short 329s or something similar for the back of the vehicle. So it should sit not too high, but nice and firm. It's going to be a damn firm ride. I don't know if it'll be too firm, we'll find out. Anyway, I'm thinking that's enough for this video, and we'll just move on to the next one. So 3 nuts up here, nice and tight, struts in, that's the easy part. Tighten that nut there on the ground. Yeah, you can see the black paint where after I linished, I gave it a good paint to save rust. You know, I haven't cleaned everything up. And don't forget, we've got to tighten all these nuts and bolts up, but we'll pick it up in the next video. Catch you on the next one.